Be aware of your surroundings because thieves will stalk you, they'll follow you around, especially if you have a niche market wheel, aftermarket TEs or something, or HRE wheels, something that is high in demand. These thieves nowadays have these antennas. Have you seen the antennas? Have you ever had your wheels stolen? Ever wake up, go out to your car, and your car is sitting on egg crates or cinder blocks and you don't have wheels? What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're talking about wheel theft, which if you live in the DC area or any major metropolitan area, there's a lot of wheel theft, unfortunately. If you drive specific cars, you are more likely to be a target. Certain Toyotas, Hondas, Kias, Hyundais, I believe, certain sedans and SUVs. If you know, comment below. If you've had your wheels stolen, comment below. Now, there's several things you can do to help prevent wheel theft, but nothing is 100%. If they really want your wheels, they will get your wheels. The best thing would be to have a driver that's former law enforcement that carries a weapon, that will sit in your car whenever you're not with your car, which is out of reach for 99.99% of us. All garages aren't necessarily safe. Just because you're in a garage, not all garages are equal. Do some research online about the garage. Has there been any thefts? Is it a public garage or a private garage? Is there a barrier to entry for the garage? Because some of these public garages that anybody can just drive right in are not that safe. Cars get stolen from them, wheels get stolen from them all the time. So be careful with those. Wheel locks. You have different kinds of wheel locks. You can get your standard old school wheel locks, can be taken off. The thieves can get the keys, or they can still get them off with a larger socket, I believe. But here's the thing, that's better than nothing. Unless they specifically want the wheels on your car, if they see a car with the wheel locks, odds are they're gonna move on to the next car. So it's better than nothing. Not 100%, but maybe they'll move on to the next car if you have the wheel locks. That's the way I look at it. Now, if you have a high-end wheel lock like a rim guard, it's going to be much harder for them to even access the wheels. So if you have a newer vehicle, I would spend the money and get the rim guard. It'll block off the access to the lug nuts and make it a lot harder for thieves to get to the lug nuts. So rim guard's worth looking into. I think it's several $100s. Comment below if you have them or if you know. If you're in the city, if you park on the street, I would recommend getting them for sure. Also, if you do parallel park, you want to park as close to the curb as you possibly can. That way it's much harder for the thieves to access half of your wheels. So the goal would be to not prevent theft 100%, but you would want them to look at your car and say, that's not worth it. I'm going to move on to the next car. Again, unless it's something they're looking for specifically. If it's a car that has a certain set of wheels that they got to have, then they're going to spend the extra time. But if they're just random stock wheels on an Accord or on a Camry, odds are they're going to move on to the next Camry because there's another Camry in the parking lot. Older cars, if your car is 15 years old and has smaller wheels, 15 or 16-inch wheels, they're not making as many tires for those wheels, and they're just not as desirable to thieves for the most part. And again, if they have that specific car or they know someone that wants those specific wheels, you're still going to be a target, even if it is a less than desirable car. But I think an older car, smaller wheels, you're less likely to be a target. Parking out in the open. A lot of people, myself included, I'm one that if I'm at a big box store, a Walmart or a Home Depot, I like to park far away. You don't have to worry about door dents. But with that being said, you're an easy target. There's nobody around you. The thieves can zip over there in their car or truck, take your wheels off. There's nothing around your car. You're more visible. It's better to actually park somewhere in the middle of the lot, in between two cars if you can. That way you're just not visible. But then you do have the door dent issue. But what do you guys think? I think you're better off parking somewhere in the middle of the lot than being visible somewhere. Even if you live in a gated community and you have a garage, an alarm system, and cameras, you can still have your car stolen. These thieves nowadays have these antennas. Have you seen the antennas where they can pop your garage door open, get the code, and then boom, and then they start your car up with another code, then they got your car. It doesn't matter, man. But the more protected you are, the better off you are. It's a shame in the DC area how often wheels and tires are stolen. The National Harbor, the parking garage there, I want to say 6 cars recently. When I say recently, I mean within the last year, were stolen from that garage. And that's supposed to be a nice place. It's supposed to be. Around PG County, it's just a mess. And the politics, they're so pro-criminal, it's ridiculous. This stuff doesn't happen in the Middle East and in Dubai. And I'm not saying that they're right about everything. I'm not saying we have to have capital punishment for criminals for petty theft or whatever. Well, I guess it is a felony if you steal wheels, because wheels are thousands of dollars. It's really a shame that so many people lose their wheels and tires. Fortunately, it's never happened to me. I have had a car stolen. When I lived in Washington, D.C., I had a car stolen when I was driving a Ford Taurus. Long story short, we got it back within 3 hours. Law enforcement was great. They got right to it, man. This was like 2008, I believe. Had an older car. I thought, oh, this would be great to park on the street, but turns out it was a Target. Anyway, we'll get into that in another video. But it's a shame that we have so many of these problems in America. We should not have these problems. Democrat, Republican, I don't care who you are. We should not have. We need to be tougher on these criminals. So wheel locks, beware of where you park. Don't be an easy target. Don't park wide out in the open. If you're in a parking garage, park next to a wall or a beam. And again, you're blocking off 2 of your tires. The thieves aren't going to, is it worth it for them just to get 2 tires? Probably not. They're going to want to get all 4. And so think like them. Don't be an easy target. If you're in the city, park in a good garage and do some research. It's unfortunate a lot of the garages are automated now and they don't have the attendants out. But sometimes the attendants will even be in on it. It's sad, but it's true. Well, they'll be in on it. If you can, you want one with a barrier to entry, that a door that opens or a gate or something that's going to slow the thieves down or make it possibly inaccessible to them. You want to have good insurance, because if you live in the city, odds are something's going to happen to your car anyway, so you want to have good insurance that's going to cover the wheels. As much as it would suck to have your wheels stolen, being carjacked is worse, obviously. There's worse things that can happen. And it's not worth it. If somebody comes at you with a gun, just give them your car. Let them take your wheels, whatever. It ain't worth it, man. What am I missing here, guys? What am I missing? Do you have wheel locks on your car, and have you had your wheels stolen? Because I know it happens. Or do you have rim guard or something high end and still have had your wheels stolen? Comment below. What kind of car do you drive? What kind of wheels were they? Were they stock wheels, aftermarket wheels? I think we need to talk about this more. We need to prevent this from happening if possible. And something needs to be done. It's a shame, you know. And unfortunately, there are people in the community that do it too. You know, your takeover crowd. Anyway, not to get into that. Back in the 90s, it was stereo theft. We had aftermarket head units, Alpine, Kenwood, Pioneer. And remember, detachable face came out, and that was a big deal to have a detachable face because you could hide it or take it with you. But stereos were stolen a lot back in those days. Wheels were too, but it seems like now more than ever wheels are getting stolen. It seems to often be the sedans and some of the smaller lightweight SUVs. Tires are getting more expensive, so what do thieves do? They just steal a set of tires when their tires go bald. So just be aware of where you're parking. If they have 4 guys in a truck and a crew that know what they're doing, they can steal your wheels in like NASCAR times, NASCAR pit stop times. Don't let it consume you either. Don't be paranoid about it. When I lived in New York City, I had no desire to drive a car on a regular basis. I would just take public transportation. I would walk. One thing I loved about New York, I could walk. Or I would rent a car if I had to leave the city. I wasn't going to spend $700-800 a month to store my car, which was ridiculous, or park on the street and let the thieves run crazy, steal everything, or just the idiot drivers bang the car up playing bumper cars because they don't care or don't know how to parallel park. If you're in the city, you're probably better off not driving and just renting cars, or just having a car you don't care about and let insurance take care of it. So to recap, wheel locks. You have low-end wheel locks that are better than nothing. High-end wheel locks that work pretty well. Park close to the curb if you're going to parallel park, and then turn your wheels to make it harder for them to get to the lug nuts. If you're in a garage, be aware of what kind of garage it is. Do some research online. Park next to a beam, park next to the wall, so 2 of your wheels aren't accessible to the thieves. Because the goal is, again, you want them to move on to the next car. The goal should be for them to move on to the next car. If you have to park somewhere and leave your car for extended periods of time, have an older car that's 10, 15 years old that doesn't have desirable wheels and tires for them to steal. They'll be less likely to steal, a 15 or 16 inch wheel, I believe. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but odds are they're after the newer stuff. The newer stuff is what's going to bring more money. And your wheels can be stolen anywhere. Airport, private parking, valet parking, from your own garage, in a gated community. It doesn't matter. So just be aware of that. Nothing is 100%. Better to have the cameras than not to have the cameras. Same with the security system. Stickers. Every little thing can make a difference, and maybe they'll move on to the next person. I'm not going to mess with this guy. He's got Second Amendment stickers. You just want to get the thieves to move on to the next guy. Be aware of your surroundings, because thieves will stalk you. They'll follow you around, especially if you have a niche type of wheel, a niche market wheel, aftermarket TEs or something, or HRE wheels, something that is high in demand. They may stalk you and follow you around, so look out for that. Be aware of that. Is anyone following you home? Is anyone following you to the grocery store? Because it happens, and people are completely aloof to these things. Then there's catalytic converter theft, which we haven't talked about. My uncle had his catalytic converter stolen from his Honda CR-V about 2 years ago. Anybody have both their catalytic converter and their wheels and tires stolen at the same time? That would really be something, huh? I'm sure it's happened. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.